When you suppress emotions, you suppress performance. I came here to work in a club. Club is actually a disco. I've joined Singapore Airlines as a flight attendant, moved from about $800 a month to having my own properties, cars, saving account. All that just disappeared almost overnight. When things go your way, you get lulled into a false sense of security. I was invincible. From a private condominium with swimming pool, and now I'm walking upstairs. I'm taking a bus, walk up the stairs, and then I come to the unit. It's a rather old unit that doesn't even have lift. I swear that on the second, third week of moving into the rented place, I felt that there was a presence inside this HDB flat. I felt that I could hear whispers was telling me, come in. This is where you will rest. This is where you die. Your thoughts, right? They actually work way faster. Your emotions, however, it's a bit slower. The whole thing about emotional mastery is to see how we can use the emotions to allow us to respond better to life.
Thanks for being here, Nadam.
Most welcome, my pleasure.
So what's a fun fact about you?
A fun fact is that I'm a big fan of Star Trek. Not just because I like the TV series, but at one point in my life, Star Trek actually saved me. Yeah, I was in a state where I was going through a lot of stuff, and without the continuous streaming of Star Trek, I probably would not be sitting here today. So, thank you, Star Trek.
All right. Is it the William Shatner version? Because I don't follow. Or different?
It's the next generation for me, Captain Picard.
Oh, Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I saw myself more of probably Riker, first officer, rather than the captain. So,
What's a snapshot of your? This is shifting gears now. What's a snapshot of your early days in your working career? Like,
people may not know this. I'm actually Malaysian. So I came down to Singapore in 1991. I came here to work in a club. And the funny thing was that when I interviewed for the job in Penang to come and work for a club, I thought it's like a swimming club, a health club, something along that line. That was the first time I was brought into understanding, in my lingo, a club is actually a disco. So it was dance, music. So I came here back then. So from a waiter all the way up to the year about 2010, I came in 91. So in that period of time, I've been working in a club. I've joined Singapore Airlines as a flight attendant. And then I started my own consultancy businesses. I've moved from, I think at the time was about $800 a month as a waiter, to having my own properties, cars, saving account. So I was pretty well settled. All that just disappeared almost overnight because of some bad choices that I made. Yeah.
sounds very serious. But you've been in consulting, worked at a disco club, worked for SIA.
Yeah.
I'm from Malaysia too, by the way.
Which part of Malaysia?
KL, Bukit Jalil.
Just a bit more north. I'm from Ipoh.
Ipoh, okay. And I was in Penang too, eating char kway teow. All right. So let's unpack a bit. You said things started going bad, going south. Was it a sudden moment that things went south, or it was a slow unraveling?
It was so slow that it took me by surprise.
Oh, okay.
And on hindsight, when I reflect on it, when things go your way, you get lulled into a false sense of security. So as I got established, as I got more successful, as things started to grow for me, I did not know it at the time, but in the back of my mind, there was this thought that I was invincible. You know, it's like every choice I made, every decision that I've taken so far, every investment, every business move, even if they don't turn out the way I thought it would be, it always turned out positive. So I thought that, you know, I'm blessed. Things would never turn bad for me. So as that thought started growing, I started making small decisions that over a period of time led to me just having no interest in where my life was at that time. This was back in 2008, 2009. So I just basically gave up on everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
In that process, I just called time out on everything, on the business, my family, my marriage of 16 years. I have a very close connection with a godson. He's autistic. And I felt so ashamed at the time that for almost a period of 2 to 3 years, I just couldn't bear to bring myself to visit him. So it came so suddenly, so quietly that when it hit, it felt like it was a tsunami and there was no way I could recover from it.
A big
Took a
hit
hit.
emotionally
Physically, mentally. I didn't take a hit spiritually because basically at that point in my life, there is absolutely nothing in terms of spirituality. So some game of zero is still zero. You know? So, yeah, but otherwise it hit in all aspects.
During those dark times, who or what kept you sane or kept you going when, you know, where hope is at a very low point in your life then?
Okay, so what happened is that I made a decision to move out of my home. I moved into what Singapore would call a one-room, one-hall flat. I was renting a place from a private condominium with swimming pool and underground parking and stuff like that. This physically and mentally was a hit. You know, you just have to drive into the basement, take a lift that opens up straight into your unit. Now I'm walking upstairs, I'm taking a bus, walk up the stairs, and then I come to the unit. It's a rather old unit that doesn't even have lift. And what happened at that point is that I wasn't there was no sign that this was happening for me, but I was slowly degrading myself mentally. Over a period of maybe 3 to 4 months, now when I look back, I can see where the turning point was, where I was just holding on, and then I was into the early stages of depression. Yeah. So it sounds like a funny story now, but back then it was terrifying the heck out of me. I swear that on the second, third week of moving into the rented place, I felt that there was a presence inside this HDB flat. Everywhere I went, the bedroom, the hall, the kitchen, is not very big. Everywhere I went, I felt someone was watching me. The next thing that I felt was, I felt that I could hear whispers. So you hear that happening in the space. And this becomes even more prominent at night when it's quiet. The next development was I literally heard a voice. And this voice started growing clearer and louder. And the first time I heard it in its full sentence, the voice was telling me, it came from the bedroom. The voice was telling me, come in, come in, come in to rest. This is where you will rest. This is where you die. It's a female voice. I still get goosebumps. From that moment, the lights in my house, they were permanently on 24 hours a day, and I couldn't sleep. Yeah, each time I closed my eyes, the voice would be very loud. And that's where Star Trek came in and saved my life. So back in the days, right, you don't have Netflix, there's no streaming services. I had 4 box sets. I had the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise. I would literally put in a CD, a DVD. I would play that, and as the episode is playing on TV, that's when I don't hear anything. I'm just watching that, and I would fall asleep. 40 minutes later, 45 minutes later, it goes into that holding pattern, a background noise. Mm-hmm. That's when I would be awoken by the same voice, and then I'll just play the second episode. So each DVD has 4 episodes. I'll cycle through maybe 2.5 episodes a night, so that I get my sleep in between. Yeah.
Oh,
so that's why Star Trek is so personal for me. And what actually changed was, like I mentioned, my consultancy business, I'm a trainer. I developed the training programs. I've developed frameworks and competency standards for the workforce development agency in Singapore, right? So I always thought that if I put my mind to it, I can overcome anything. What I didn't know back then is that the sound, the voices, the presence was actually happening in my mind. My mind was actually not, it's no longer functioning the way I would want it to function. It's taking over. Depression does that to you. So what happened was, at one of the low point, I called up a friend. His name is Prakash. And I said, hey, this is what's happening. I'm going through this. And he said, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to wait for me. I'm coming over. We're going to have tea. And, just get yourself ready. I believe that was the first time in 2, maybe 3 weeks that I actually left the unit. Because, one of the symptoms of depression is you shut down, both literally and like mentally you shut down. But as a person, you don't want to go out. You want to just try and consolidate. You just want to be by yourself. He introduced me to different ways of listening to mantras, Indian mantras. Prior to that, I did try some meditation. It helped a little bit. But after about 2-3 weeks, you still hear it's getting louder, the voices and everything that's happening. So it wasn't really helping me anymore. So when he introduced Indian chants and prayers, they call them mantras, right?
Yep. Yeah.
That helped. So I would play in between the Star Trek episodes. I would play the mantras, and it helped calm things down. So he was very instrumental in helping me to build some form of a barrier to prevent the floodgate of me going deeper into depression. Another friend introduced me to another form of meditation that allowed for a lot of release of emotion, a lot of catharsis. So when I went for that meditation, it was 6:30 a.m. in the morning. I went for that. There was a lot of emotions that I was holding on to, and I didn't recognize at that time that I was holding on to all these emotions. So in that process, I lost my voice, by the way, after that session. I screamed like I've never screamed before. So I was just full on releasing. The surprising thing was that in the evening, I actually fell asleep without switching on the DVD. I didn't even know I fell asleep. I was so tired, I slept. And the next thing I know, I woke up at about 5-ish. something must be working with this technique. So I decided, okay, I'll get myself ready. I'll go for another day, 6:30 a.m. And sure enough, that night I slept again without Star Trek. That process allowed me to have space within my being to now understand a lot of the things were happening, not because the place was haunted, but my mind was going haywire. There was so much pressure that I was not allowing the pressure. It's like you know, pressure cooker.
Yeah.
You have a steam and you have a valve that allows the steam to come up. Imagine if that valve was faulty and it doesn't allow steam to release, right? Sooner or later, that thing is just going to explode. That's basically what happened to me. Yeah, that was the turning point where I then started to embrace meditation, mindfulness, spirituality as the aspect that I need to work on so that it allows for me to have space to work on the other three aspects: physical, emotional, and mental.
Wow. So it's two friends that helped you along the journey.
Yeah.
Helped you along the journey, Prakash and
Prakash and the other friend is Amara.
Amara. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's good that you managed to stay in touch with them and they help you out of a really difficult spot.
The sad thing is that Prakash has passed on, but Amara is still a very dear friend. We talk every now and then. She's based in Bali. I'm here now, so yeah.
They help you in this journey, taking you out of this dark times.
The mantras were helpful. It was kind of like the first foundation that allowed me to get a measure of myself, right? Prakash introduced me to Indian mantras. The Gayatri mantra was the one that he introduced me to. But along the way, I was also open to other forms of Tibetan and Buddhist chants. So they were all very helpful. Amara brought me to this meditation called dynamic meditation, which is by an Indian guru, an Indian mystic. His name is Osho. And what I found then is that the group that was doing the dynamic meditation, they were a small growing group where we would come together every Tuesday, 7:30 at night, and we would just do an hour of meditation. That was led by a friend by the name of Amber. Over a period of about 3 to 4 years, through a lot of the weekly exercise, weekly meditations, twice a year retreats, twice a year intense 21-day practices. It was through that I realized there's a lot of value in meditation. And in this case, the meditation is what you call active meditation. It's not the kind that you would see in a movie where the person sits cross-legged, eyes closed, this picture perfect person of stillness. It's nothing like that. It's impossible for me to do that because my legs would hurt. My mind is too active. So this style of meditation is that you use some action or some sounds or some breathing techniques that is very engaging, and then over 2, maybe 3 different stages, it starts to slow down and become more gentle, and then gradually it just leads you into 10-15 minutes of silence. So the silence happens very gradually, and you're eased into it. You're not saying, okay, that's kind of difficult to force a person into. So I really enjoyed that, and it really helped me in that process. Yeah. So Amber is the third person who, every week was a practice for myself. Yeah. And over a period of 4 or 5 years, when it became integral for me, is when I went to India to actually spend more time there, looked at it a little bit more, explore a bit more, try to understand the techniques and the purpose of the techniques a bit more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That shows the power of meditation
Yeah.
and controlling the thoughts in between your two ears.
Yeah.
Is that,
This is one. That's the mental
men-
aspect.
men-
But this is just as important. The emotional aspect. Yeah. And basically, I really dedicate my life now working on the emotional aspect. We talk a lot about the power of thinking, positive thoughts, etc. But the emotional aspect of it, we talk about emotional intelligence in terms of communication, in terms of relationship. But it's not often talked about how important it is that we need to be emotionally mature to even present myself as a whole being.
that sounds deep. So, like mastering like your emotional center.
So let's take an
Give an
example of cycling. As a kid, I was cycling all over the place. If each time I got on a bicycle, either I fell or I was punished for not coming home at the time when the sun was still out. All I associate with the bike is punishment and pain, I hold a certain fear with the sight of a bicycle. Yeah. I would not want to put myself at that risk. I'll stop cycling. That's one way. Now, that fear, you can start looking at people cycling and you're saying, it's actually very easy, it's fun. You can start with a tricycle, you can do other things about it. But if you don't address that fear is always going to be your default programming. Another way is, I'm not sure if you heard of this, but in Malaysia, especially as I was growing up, my father would always tell me this. Each time I ask him for something, you think what? Money grow on trees, right?
Yeah, I love it.
So there is this feeling, this emotional aspect that when it comes to money, right, it feels very heavy. It's a struggle. It's not easy. So the mind is one thing, but the emotions that goes with it is that each time I think of money, I feel sad because my father was in a way chiding me, right? He's saying, "What do you think? What grow on tree?" Oh. So if I don't deal with that emotion and just work only on the mind, that heaviness in the heart will always pull you back into that state of action. In his book, Conversations with God, and I also think Eckhart Tolle, in his book Power of Now. Okay, two books. One is Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. The other one is Conversations with God, Neil Donald Walsh. They talk about how your thoughts, right, they actually work way faster. Yeah, it's very difficult for you to just watch your mind. So your thoughts are split second, they keep changing. Mm-hmm. Your emotions, however, it's a bit slower. If you are angry, that angry feeling lasts a little bit longer, regardless of what thought is coming up. So imagine you had anger for a count of 10. You may have 5 to 10 thoughts in that count of 10. So imagine your thought is going 1 every second. This lasts 10 seconds. Mm-hmm. So if you try to control your mind, right, you're still pulled down by the intensity of your emotions. Now, if you can deal with that emotion, you will find that you have more capacity to now deal with the mind, and you have more energy to live a fuller life physically.
So,
yeah.
Okay, dealing with your emotion. Okay, that helps with control.
So let me ask you, Trevor. Sure. When we say that you are afraid, Yeah, there's fear in you. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
When it's fear, you don't think straight, you would
Okay.
freeze. So making decision, you will make less than optimal decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you've described is that fear equates to something not so good, not ideal for a person, right?
Yeah.
But if there was no fear, you would not stop at the side of a road to watch out and see if there are traffic coming. Be careful of potholes. You would just close your eyes and you'd fearlessly walk across the streets. That doesn't serve you either, right? So fear is neither positive nor negative. It's just that we have been conditioned to the feeling is bad or the feeling is good.
So you can turn fear into.
So if we deal with our emotions and we understand that fear, we don't make good choices, we don't think clearly. But if we learn to recognize fear is also showing you that, look, we need to maybe spend a bit more time, look through a little bit closer, be a bit more careful in what we're doing, then fear becomes a positive experience. Right? So it's the same thing. It's still fear. It can be both positive and negative. But for many, the default is negative.
Ah,
Now it's my time to interview you.
sure, go ahead.
So, have you ever had a experience? Have you ever had a relationship that was so amazing, you're literally floating on air?
Doesn't have to be a romantic one. It can be like a friendship with a close friend.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, like floating. Okay, go on.
Yeah. Everyone thinks that a deep, meaningful relationship is positive,
Yeah.
right? In that relationship, have you ever made a bad choice or not not given due diligence to a choice just because your relationship with this person is so amazing, you overlook possible pitfalls, possible things that may not serve you so well?
Yeah, of course, that's happened. There's always a blind spot sometimes, and you miss certain things, and that could create conflict. Yeah.
So this whole idea of love, of friendship, of happiness, which is generally positive, can also turn out to be negative. Yeah. So the whole thing about emotional mastery is to take out our emotions, look at it objectively, and see how we can use the emotions to allow us to respond better to life.
Very insightful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm embarking on that journey too then. Emotional mastery.
Happy to share.
So if your comeback story could inspire someone, what is one core message you would like them to hear?
This has been something that's been gestating since the 12th of December 2023. Yeah, when I attended this particular boot camp that questioned how I can present my message to a larger audience. It took me about a year and a half to bring it down to 4 words. Yeah. The message that I would tell people nowadays: when you suppress emotions, you suppress performance.
Suppress emotion, you suppress performance. Okay.
It's been clinically proven. You can look at this guy, Dr. John Sarno. Yeah. When we have emotions, right, when we hold on to it, it's not like you just hold back emotions and it doesn't cost you anything. You need energy and you need effort to hold back your suppressed emotions. So a good example is, have you ever experienced when you walk into a room of strangers, you glance at this one person in a corner and you have this instant dislike for that person. You've never met them before. And you just feel, no, this one, that kind of experience that you have. That's usually based on some bad experience in the past, and you associate whether it's a mustache or a certain build or certain look or certain, that triggered an emotion, and the dislike comes up. So as you're holding all this, you still have to talk to the person, network with the person. You're holding in check all these emotions that you have been keeping. So it robs you of energy to be creative, energy to have fun, energy to do good work like what you're doing now in podcasts, trying to get messages out to people. That energy is used up just to hold things back.
Like an emotional baggage.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you suppress, your performance gets, you suppress the emotion, your performance gets affected.
Yep.
So I would encourage anyone, find your own way, but allow for emotional expression, emotional release. It's difficult to let go, especially of some heavy emotions or some long kept secrets. But there are so many options out there to find a way to either release or channel all that pent up emotions, so that you're now free. You're free to do other stuff.
What is a quote or a mantra that you live by now?
Wow. I won't use it as a quote, but one word I would say is gratitude. Gratitude.
Yes.
Yeah. I think if we are thankful, it helps shift our perspective. When we are thankful, right, the ability, the judgment within us is dimmed down. You're no longer saying, "Oh, this is right and this is wrong." That happens when we are really in a judging mode. Now, when you're grateful, if something nice happens to us, thank you. That's amazing, but thank you. Something not as pleasant happens to us, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Whatever happens, it has happened. It allows us now to actually look at it from the point of, what lesson can I learn from this? I may not understand it for now, but thank you. I'm going to store it over here. I don't have to make it about me. I don't have to judge that it's bad, but I can now store it somewhere. Sooner or later, it's going to come back up and says, yeah, this is why you had that experience, and you learn from it. So I think one word I would put for myself is gratitude.
Oh, so either win or you learn. So when things are going great, be grateful. When things are not going so great, also be grateful, because
Exactly.
that negative situation could turn into a positive and be a life lesson.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Nadam.
Thank you,
I
Trevor.
really
Pleasure
appreciate
to be
learning
here.
from you.
Yeah.